What's up, everybody? Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, back with another Daily Deck Tech video, finishing up a whole slew of videos before I head off to Michigan for like a mini vacation, making up for not being able to go for Christmas. And today we have ourselves Glarb Calamity's Augur, coming in at 181.80, so working on having a little bit more varied budgets, having some lower, some higher, you know, everything in between. As always, make these decks your own. But who is Glarb Calamity's Augur? He's a 2/4 for 1 black, 1 green, 1 blue. He has Death Touch, and you may look at the top card of your library at any time. And you can play lands and cast spells with mana value 4 or greater from the top of your library. And then you can surveil too, which surveil is you look at the top 2, and then you can put any number of them in your graveyard. So without further ado, how are we going to operate this deck today? We're going to try to play some extra lands, do some landfall things, have some big spells. Pretty straightforward for a fair, I would say a fair budget. In this deck, we are going to be running 18 creatures. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And we are going to be combining just the most obnoxious things of green, blue, and black that we could possibly get. So, first and foremost, we have AC, Tyrant of Dire Strait. It's a 5/5 for 6. You can play an additional land on each of your turns, and when a land enters the battlefield under your control, you can draw a card. This card's pretty great. I play in my Tatyova deck, which, speaking of which, hey Tatyova, kind of does the same thing. Whenever a land enters, you get to draw a card. So these here are going to help get you card advantage. So if the top card of your library is not something with a converted mana cost of 4 or greater, nor is it a land, this will help you draw cards, him and Tatyova, and then he also lets you play an additional land. We have Annoyed Altasaur. He's a 7-drop. He's a 6/5 reach trample. He has Cascade. He's in here to cascade things. Avenger of Zendikar. When a creature enters, put a 0/1 plant token for each land you control, and has Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you can put a 1/1 counter on each plant you control. Avenger of Zendikar, he's a little bit past his prime, but he can still shine once in a while, and, you know, I felt to throw him in here. He meets the 4 or greater clause, so yeah. Azusa, pretty straightforward. This card is what I like to call sneaky powerful. Every time I play my Azusa deck, where she's the commander, I put him out there, or I put her out there, and everybody just looks at it and shrugs. It's like, oh well, it's extra lands, and then on turn 5, they're getting Genesis Waved for like 36. She is very strong. She lets you play an additional 2 lands on each of your turns. Bonnie Powell, Clear Cutter. This is Magic's version of Paul Bunyan and Babe the Big Blue Ox, who are like tall tales in American folklore. 6/5 for 3 generic, a green, and double blue. Reach, and when Bonnie Paul, also which is Paul Bunyan we have at home, Clear Cutter enters the battlefield, create Bow, a legendary blue ox creature token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. And whenever you attack, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And Bo, not Babe, the Big Blue Ox, you know, gets pretty big, pretty powerful. You can stomp, you can cast this from the top of your library with your Glarb. We have Dryad of the Elysian Grove. You can play an additional land on each of your turns. Lands you control are every basic land type. This kind of helps out with your mana fixing in a 3-color deck. It does not hit the 4-cost thing, but it is a very good card in land decks. Fecund Greenshell. This is one of my favorite cards in all of Magic, really, that's been printed in the last couple of years. It's a 4/6 turtle for 3 generic, double green. As long as you control 10 or more lands, your creatures get +2/+2. Has reach, and whenever it or another creature you control with toughness greater than its power enters, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it on the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, put it into your hand. We have Fire Nation Tank Train, also known as Noxus Gear Hulk. It's a 5/4 for 4 generic and double black. We have Menace, and when this creature enters, you may destroy another target creature. If a creature is destroyed this way, you gain life equal to its toughness. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and can be played from the top of your library. Also, you know, gaining life is pretty nice. Emoti, Celebrant of Bounty. It has Cascade, and spells you control of mana value 6 or greater have Cascade. We have quite a few of those in here, so that's a pretty good little neat trigger that you can have. Lotus Cobra allows you to, get some mana off of landfall triggers. Muldrotha, the Gravetide is a 6/6 for 6. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. That's pretty good and pretty straightforward, especially if people start blowing up your stuff. Being able to replay those things is very fun. I'll have to do a Muldrotha deck one of these days. Oracle of the Moldiah. I love this card a lot. You can play an additional land each turn. You play with the top card of your library revealed, and you can play lands from the top of your library. We have Rampaging Baloth, 6/6 for 6. Trample and Landfall. You get to put a 4/4 green beast into play. Scoot Swarm, one of my favorite cards, and probably my wife Danae's favorite card in all of Magic the Gathering. Landfall, 1/1 for 3. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. And if you control 6 or more lands, instead create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm. This gets out of hand very fast. This card is what helped me figure out how many tokens is the max amount of tokens you can have on the field at any given time in Arena. There is a limit, friends. It will not let you have like over, I think it's like 180 or something like that. Tatiova, we already went over. The Gitrog monster. So he's a 6/6 for 5. He's got somebody's arm hanging out there. That guy's having a real bad day. Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog monster unless you sacrifice a land, which you then can replay with Muldrotha to get some landfall effects. You may play an additional land on each of your turns, and whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. I didn't put it in this deck, but something that you could play to synergize with the Gitrog monster is Zuran Orb, which lets you pay 0 to sacrifice a land to gain 2 life. We did put Tireless Tracker and Tireless Provisioner in here. Provisioner's Landfall lets you create a food or a treasure. Tracker creates clues, and then Tracker gets +1/+1. Counters every time you crack a clue. Sorceries. We got Casualties of War. This card's really expensive. I'm not always super big on this card, but I decided to put it in here because it's a nice little budget card to keep us under $2. Or $200, sorry. You choose one or more. You can destroy an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. You can destroy your own stuff if you really so choose. Sometimes it's useful for land if you want to replay a land and need an extra landfall trigger. Ramp. We have a bajillion. We have Circuitous Route. We have Cultivate. We have Explore, to explore. We have Farseek, Rampant Growth, Skyshroud Claim, Migration Path, Open the Way, Tempt with Discovery, and Summer Bloom. All of those are in their own ways ramp spells. Some search for lands. Explore lets you draw a card and plays an additional one. Summer Bloom lets you play an additional 3 lands this turn. Tempt with Discovery. If you can search for a land, and then each of your opponents can, and then you can search for a land for each one of them that does. Open the Way. X, you can have X up to how many opponents you have, and then you reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal that many land cards. Put them on the battlefield tapped. And then for just a tiny bit of draw, we have Treasure Cruise, and then we do have a removal spell in Fell. Destroy target creature, which I love this art a lot. Like, I love this art. A.M. Sartor, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but if you ever see this video, please, I just want to let you know that this art is amazing. And I actually have a whole bunch of Fells specifically because I love this art. For instance, we have Aetherize, return all attacking creatures to their owner's hands. Beast Within for a little bit of removal. Turn into a frog. These are cards that I really, really like. The things that make things into 1/1s. I use Turn into a frog in a couple decks as a combat trick, actually. So when they attack, I turn it into a frog and then I block it, and then they're very sad. Death Sprout also is a removal. You kill a creature and then search your library for a land card. Put it on the battlefield tapped. We have Eureka Moment. Draw 2 cards, and then you can put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. Fact or Fiction, a classic card in Magic the Gathering. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. There used to be an old acronym, EOTFOFYL, which is end of turn, Fact or Fiction, you lose. Harrow for a little bit of ramp. Negate for just a tiny amount of counter magic along with Rewind. We have Planar Genesis. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You can put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. If you don't, put a card from among them into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom in a random order. Putrefy, again for removal. And then we have Nature's Claim, which pops an artifact or enchantment, and you get to gain 4 life. For artifacts, we are running oh, I did put Zuran Orb in here. Man, you know, friends, when you turn 37, you just start losing it. I'm losing it. Past Weston was very smart. But we have Arcane Signet and Soul Ring in here for a little bit of mana rocks. We have our Military Sphere, which you can sacrifice it, search for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand. This is really useful for playing those cards that lets you play extra lands. In addition to that, if you have Muldrotha out, you can replay our Military Sphere and just keep popping that. We have Seer Sundial, Landfall. When a land enters, you can pay 2, draw a card. Crucible Worlds to replay your lands. Up there with the Get Rock Monster with that kind of utility. Zuran Orb, which I already described. It's a 0-cost artifact. Sack a land, you gain 2 life. Then you can replay it with Muldrotha, Crucible Worlds, Get Rock Monster. We have Exploration Broodship. You can play an additional land on each of your turns. And then if you fully crew it, it has flying in once during each of your turns. You may cast a permanent spell from your graveyard by sacrificing a land in addition to paying its other costs, which is pretty good. Enchantments. There's where we have more of my fun frog effects. Amphibian Downpour. This one, I love this card so much. It's got Flash, it's Storm, it's Enchant Creature, and the enchanted creature loses all abilities and becomes a 1/1 frog. Eaten by Piranhas turns things into a black 1/1 skeleton, and Casamina's Transmutation turns them into a 1/1. Sadly, not a frog. We have Primeval Bounty. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 3/3 beast. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put 3 1/1 counters on target creature, and Landfall, gain 3 life. Retreat to Coral Helm. Landfall, you can tap or untap a creature, so you can tap or untap your Glarb if you need to, or you can scry 1. We have Retreat to Augur, which is Landfall. You choose one. Target creature gets +1/+0 and Death Touch till end of turn. Never ever underrate Death Touch. It is a great way to sometimes just essentially give your creature unblockable. Or each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Retreat to Kazandu is Landfall, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, or you gain 2 life. Rites of Flourishing. At the beginning of each player's draw step, they draw an additional card, so a Howling Mine effect, and then each player may play an additional land on each of their turns. I like speeding up games, so I like this sort of card. Sapling Nursery is an 8-drop enchantment. Affinity for 4, so it gets cheaper for the amount of forests that you have. Landfall, whenever a land you control enters, create a 3/4 Tree Folk with Reach. And then you can exile this enchantment. Tree Folk and force you control gain indestructible until end of turn. We have Spelunking, so when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and you put a land card on from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put a cave, which we, if I recall correctly, don't have any caves, you can gain 4 life. Lands you control enter the battlefield untapped. And then we have Zendikar's Royal, which is whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, so Landfall, create a 2/2 green elemental creature token. For our lands, we are running 6 forests, 16 forests, 7 islands, 7 swamps. We are running Terramorphic Expanse, Myriad Landscape, Evolving Wilds, Foreboding Landscape. These are, budgetary fetches. We are running Escape Tunnel and Secret Tunnel for unblockable. Secret Tunnel is really good because of all of the creatures that will share synergy for our tokens. Path of Ancestry is in here, and we also have Command Tower. Let me know what you think of the deck in the comments down below. Do you like Glarb? Do you have Glarb? How's your Glarb play? Glarb, 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 Glarb. But as always, I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I'll be back with another deck tech tomorrow. I hope you all have a wonderful day.